It's the Catechin live, and we don't know what we're doing. Fellas, how we feeling?
A little, jumped on here. Didn't realize we're going live right now, but hey, here we are. Go ahead.
We're great. Loving all this portal news we're getting.
First time ever streaming live from the Catechin Cabana. Good time. I don't know why. It's like it's in my head that we've gotten to the point where when we record the podcast that we don't really need to edit it all that much, other than when Braden says all of his slurs. But the idea of us being live, I do feel like I'm gonna get awkward or something all of a sudden. Like I feel like I'm being watched.
It's like the first time we tried to record and we all wanted to kill ourselves. It was terrible.
Yeah, that
never
wasn't
to be
great.
released video.
Dude, I swear to God. No, I mean, Ben's having a great time being the mod for some, certain servers.
Also
and
great.
It's been going great. Everyone's been really nice.
See, Richie
And,
just sent a question on Discord and not in the chat where it belongs.
We love Richie here. What's the
Which
question?
Richie?
Does
up
Bontemps
here?
hate all NCAA leading scores or just the ones linked to Kentucky? I'll hang up and listen.
Just the ones linked to Kentucky.
Just the ones linked to us, really. That also across the board analytics don't love. I mean,
He's not
I
a big
think he
fan
looks
of like
good.
Will Hoopers, he doesn't like the
we're-
tough twos. He's a big Nate Oates guy. I get it.
We're talking about Jared Pierre Jr., who looks awesome. Tape is great. Wouldn't be upset at all if we added him. But I'm also just not as high on him as people who, and I mean, not to say that people haven't watched more of him than just this, but a lot of people I think just watched either the dunk that Richie sent a million times or just watched the transfer tape that's 5 minutes long. And he looks awesome. But there's more
What
to
else
it than
would
that.
you
You're watching
recommend?
a highlight video.
Which is what I always watch. What would you recommend watching?
I haven't, but I'd recommend watching full games if you can. Most of a game, a half. I'm just saying
rather not watch
there's
the full Jackson State. or
yeah,
Jacksonville
well, that's
State
fair.
basketball game.
And it's not even necessarily that I think the step up in competition is huge. He's Conference USA, Jacksonville State. It's a top 10 conference, and I think Jacksonville State was second in their conference. They're a decently good team, and he was their star player and like a 30-something% usage. But there's a reason Evan Mia and others have him as like a number 300 transfer in the country and have other guys we're looking at much higher.
Yeah, I don't
And
really buy
last-
into the competition thing. I mean, Chaz Lanier was at North Florida, and that's much worse competition.
Yeah,
Although-
right.
Competition, isn't it?
I bet the metrics probably liked him a lot more, but I do like Pierre. I'd love to have him on the team. Just for the you saw the dunk.
I saw
I
the
mean,
dunk. How many guys in
generational
the
dunk.
SEC are doing that? Free throw line dunk.
It would
And
be
it's
fun to
crazy.
have Otega Owe on the team and then just another Otega Owe coming in to back up Otega Owe.
You think he'd come in to back him up?
I feel like we're running out of starting lineup spots. I don't see him as a 1. I see him as a 2.
It's fair. It's a good point.
I think to some extent it depends on how good Jasper is. I mean, if Jasper comes in and is ready to go, and that's possible. I don't know. There are a lot of questions still about the lineup. Do Jasper and Otega play next to each other? Do they play 2 and 3? So I think
Do you
it's
think-
difficult without seeing the whole picture to know who starts and
Do you
who's a
think
bench
Otega
guy.
has the size to play the 3? Because I just see him strictly as a 2.
In this offense, I mean, what difference does it really make, I guess? But
Yeah, yeah.
traditionally, sure, you're probably right. But like, I mean, he's going to, like even Pope said, though, he doesn't really fit anything Pope wants to do. He's just going to have to let him do what he's going to do and go from there with him. So a lot of tough 2s, Ben's favorite.
My favorite. I want to look up how many tough 2s Pierre took last year, actually.
I bet it's a lot.
That'll be a big decider on whether you want him on the team or not.
It'd be the only thing that matters.
I want the Robert Morris kid, and I want the Robert Morris kid bad.
Yeah, Alvaro looks great. Again, I think people keep making lineups with him backing up Yaxel, and that seems unlikely to me because I wanted him as our starter before I knew Yaxel was like a real possibility. And if I in my head thought of him as like potential starter for UK, it's difficult for me to then see him willing to back somebody up. But
If we don't
if
get
he'll sign on, go for
Yaxel,
it.
we are completely screwed as an entire team. Like that's the whole entire offseason is dependent on if we get Yaxel or not. Just so everyone's clear, that's I'm kidding, but really though, no. Who knew who he was before the season ended? Just by raise of hand. Okay. Well, you might, you nerd. But like my point is like y'all knew him as soon as the ESPN screenshot with his 20 points a game pops up, and then you're like, oh, this guy, let's go. But like regardless of what happens with him or with anyone, like it's super early. Pope's like a week and a half away from being named coach this time last year. Like it's gonna be fine. How long's the dead period last, Ben? I've been meaning to ask you.
And it's a week. It's through next Thursday.
And can you explain why there's a dead period? It seems like a little bit like an ancient relic compared to the fact they have no teeth anywhere else. So why do we have to follow a dead period?
So I think it's. I mean, they have stuff like that for when coaches need to be somewhere. Like I don't know if it's all coaches. Most coaches certainly are at the Final Four for a coaches meeting this week. And obviously they don't care to have the portal open during this time, but I think they didn't want to give a huge advantage to coaches or even assistant coaches who aren't going to be there. All right, so this season Otega took 107 long 2s and hit them at a 32% clip, and Pierre took 180. It's almost double.
Yeah, let's go. My kind of guy.
Under 40%, so love it.
So super efficient, kind of a bad B.
I don't like that the comments cover me. That hurts my feelings a little bit.
In addition to that, he took 50 more 3s than Brea. So like take every shot Brea took plus every shot Otega took, put them together, and that is like how many shots this guy. I mean, he was everything for this team. They had maybe one other offensive option.
A lot of times a guy on bad teams like that, their analytics will be a little worse, and like they're like he had a kind of guy like that can be a lot better in a system in which he's not asked to do so much. So even it sounds like he hit at a pretty decent rate, but like even if he hadn't, I think that can change. It's not necessarily a reason to doubt a guy or whatever just because he's on a lower level team. Obviously, a clear talent on that team, right? But I don't think he takes 180 tough 2s next year as much as I'd love to see. Bring back the triangle.
You see me rip my hair out?
Yeah, I'd love that.
Well, and he, yeah, I don't think he does either. I mean, I don't think you can have that in our offense. But I think that one thing that's kind of neat is that's the opposite of Cam Williams, who committed already, who was a super low usage guy, but really efficient when he was used. I mean, he shoots well, he's good at the rim. And so I think that is maybe a better formula for um, translating to this level. And he was Tulane, so he was in the American, which is also a really, just under the high majors in terms of talent. So I don't think it's
It's
going
like
to be a huge step up, but I think that low usage bodes really well for that translation.
Yeah, I'd
I
say
think
the
so too.
American's probably somewhere like it's below like the Big 12, but like definitely
So
above like the Mountain West.
I swear to God, I was about to say a poor man's Mountain West, and you son of a, you know what? Yeah. How many teams they get in the tournament? Just out of curiosity. Oh yeah, one. That's right. And when
Love
Memphis
Cam
joins the
Williams
Pac,
though.
when
Cam
Memphis joins
Williams
the
can
Pac-12 with Tulane, then they'll have gotten 0 teams in. Um.
Cam Williams is going to be awesome. Like I'm a
So
full on believer on Cam.
I think so too. I think he's going to be great. I want to get him on the show, honestly. Ben, you might know this. Somebody said I need a couple commitments before the settlement on the 7th. I'm assuming they're meaning the house settlement with the NIL payments and stuff. What do you know anything about that? Like, why would that change anything?
Yeah, so the house settlement, for those that don't know, is the NCAA got sued again for
Hell yeah.
violating antitrust law by keeping these players from being able to earn what they deserve on the open market. And as part of that, it's sort of split into two. There's a big back pay portion where they're paying anyone who graduated from like 2015 to present over the course of 10 years or so, and they're also allowing schools to pay players directly up to a cap each year, and what they're calling revenue sharing, which is different from NIL. The revenue
Okay.
sharing, you can it can be straight pay for play, like 100%. I'm giving you this money to come and pay or play for our school. The cap the first year is $20.5 million. It's up to the school how that's allocated across all their sports.
Title IX's gonna have a
And
fit.
yeah, Title IX will be an issue. There's going to be a bunch of issues still. So while it feels like this is the new era, I think there still are a lot of question marks. But next to
So
that pay
mhm.
for play portion, there's also what we have kind of now with NIL, except instead of just being a hey, here's a bunch of money to come to the school, they're going to have to follow a fair market value standard. And apparently the way it's going to work is any deal signed after the settlement passes, which could come as early as Monday. Monday's the hearing for it, and it just depends on how quickly the judge gets the order out after that. Any deal signed after that point or paid after July 1st will have to meet this fair market value standard, a much more rigorous standard that is in place now. And so um, a lot of schools and players, it seems, are trying to beat that deadline and get committed and signed with this NIL deal before then so that they aren't then held to that standard. And maybe we can make it work. It remains to be seen how much of a big change this is going to be. But I think lots of people around the basketball world are nervous about it and trying to get commitments done before then. So, Mark, I agree. Yeah, it would be great to get some stuff done before then. But also, I don't think Club Blue's been sitting on their hands. I think they realize that it's important to be able to operate in a world where you do have to meet that fair market value standard. And as we know, we have a lot of our guys doing like actual endorsement deals. Kobe Brea's big thing, now the Weetabix thing, all the Clark's Pump and Shop stuff. I mean, the Paul Miller Ford stuff. Those would all, I mean, as long as the price is right, be real NIL stuff. We could continue going forward. It's just not quite as much of a free reign to pay guys whatever you want.
Which is a
And
real
not
advantage to being at Kentucky, by the way, is that Kobe Brea probably didn't get as big of a bag as he thought he was going to get last offseason, but then we're seeing him in TurboTax commercials during the NCAA tournament. So when it turns into this whole, fair market value, I feel like the tides can shift into Kentucky's favor when it's just like, we got our guy on a freaking cereal box in college.
There's very few brands that can prop up a player like Big Blue Nation and Kentucky can. Like Kentucky basketball is one of the only brands in all of college sports that even competes outside of the football brands. It would be a roughly top 25 football brand, which is remarkable considering it's not that, and it is basketball. And in the chat, it looks like people are saying some things about like missing, like Pope missing early and stuff like that. I don't mean to jump right to that, but like really, it's kind of driving me crazy that we think we've missed on anything. There's literally like you want everybody in the portal. You can only take so many. Guys change their mind. Magoon and Dent, I'm sure, is who they're referring to. Both of which were going to go to. It felt like they were Kentucky at one point, but like. If Kentucky's screwed, then the whole country's kind of screwed. Because like nobody's got Kentucky has a commit. I mean, Louisville got a couple guys. I know we want to win the offseason really badly, but like, until Pat Kelsey gets out of a locker and Pope lets him out, it's not really going to matter. We give him time. Pope wasn't even the coach, a year ago at this time. And there's not, it'll all shake out the way it's going to. I just think it's crazy that we think we've missed so much. And it's like, let's see what we can salvage. Like, who's going to have a good offseason if we're having a bad one at this point? I'm just going to say, I really don't understand how we're doing.
Blew all their cash in the first week, man.
Splash. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that for a couple of reasons. One, we know the value and endorsement of a basketball player carries in Lexington just a ton of value relative to anywhere else. I mean, imagine, even in LA, if you put a UCLA basketball player up on a billboard, there are going to be people who maybe know who they are, but few. If you put even a bench guy for us, if you put Harry and Noah, though that doesn't really count, they're Kentucky guys. If you put Ansley up on a billboard, everybody in Lexington is going to know who that is.
Yeah.
That endorsement carries a lot of value.
I might do my taxes this year. I might do my taxes because Kobe Bryant was on that TurboTax.
Don't get crazy. You're not doing your taxes, but I get it. You thought about it at least.
The other reason that I think that we're going to find a way to be able to operate in this new fair market value space on the NIL perspective is that Dan Wetzel tweeted this out earlier. Estimates for the rev share allocations to men's basketball by conference. Big East 5.7 million per school, ACC 4.4, Big 12 4.3, Big 10 3.2, and SEC 3.1. That's because the Big 10 and the SEC are really spending heavy on football. And in the modern landscape, $3 million isn't going to buy you a roster.
Fair.
Like it or not, the SEC and Big 10 have a ton of power. That's been the whole narrative of the past couple of years. These two conferences can do whatever they want. They're not going to let the Big East, especially after these schools, especially the SEC and Greg Sankey have prioritized basketball. They're not going to let the Big East double their roster spend. There's no way we move forward in a landscape where the Big East has twice the budget to spend on basketball as the SEC. There's no way we let that happen.
Well.
I mean,
there he
hello.
is.
Hey, buddy.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yep.
Oh, we're live right now, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
There are.
He sprang it on us just like you just got sprung. So.
Hell yeah.
Well,
how do we see the people?
Open it on YouTube. Yeah.
Very true. And with the house settlement coming up, and one would think that we would get player deals done before then, but I mean it takes two to tango, and if anything, it's in the players' interest to get these deals done first, and if the players dragging their feet with it, then that's kind of on them. I don't think that says anything about us really.
Yeah, I think there might be some like hesitant to wait and see because they might think it might be better for him. A lot of these NIL agents are like really. I think they know their time's up. It's coming. It's coming quick. They're trying to get as much as they can while they can. So this will probably be the wildest the offseason transfer portal will be going forward. But I do look forward to having some. I hope the settlement brings some sort of consistency because right now it's crazy. Like I kind of hate it honestly. How, like the current way, it's not. I don't think this is fun. Do you guys think this is fun? I mean, it's fun to like think when you
I
get a
think
good
it's kind of
player, but
fun.
like, yeah, well, have fun modding the next 2 weeks when it doesn't go the way
Yeah,
you
that
want to.
pros and cons.
Just
I
saying,
embrace the
people are
chaos.
yeah, ish, right? Until somebody tells you they're going to January 6th your house because Pope got hired last year, but you know,
I
Caleb,
am
what's new, bud?
also Mackenzie. I'm also excited to see Cam fill in that role. I'm gonna pull up now and see how he does with transition threes. I feel like I remember seeing a bunch of them.
Also, I'll point out, portal hasn't even closed yet. I mean, we saw Alabama pick up Bull Bowen today, and then they lost. Is it Diabate? Is that how you say his name? Then he
Yeah.
enters the portal. We're going to continue to see things like that happen, where some guy comes in, another one leaves. I mean, would any of us be surprised, like if Kentucky gets another big man, and let's say Brandon Garrison decides to transfer out? That's going to happen at other schools too.
Yeah, well, and like we know Kerr's transferring out, and I don't think we've heard anything about him entering the portal yet.
I think he's in the portal.
Is he?
It takes 48 hours from notification for it to pop up, but I'm pretty sure I saw him in the portal. And I mean, for the record, like, I mean, what Jackson didn't commit till May 30th of last year. Like, he was in the draft process. Like, it could be it's it's April 4th. Like, we got a while. It's not. I mean, how many more guys do you think we're going to take total, Ben? I mean, you would know better than I.
I guess if we don't lose anyone other than Kerr, we probably add 4 more. One of the portions of the house settlement is we're moving to 15 scholarships, though that does also mean a roster limit of 15. So if we go beyond our current 12, we're losing 1 or more walk-ons. So I don't know.
How many walk-ons you can have?
Well, I mean, a walk-on just counts the same as a scholarship player going forward.
Oh,
Your roster limit is the same as your scholarship limit.
That's good because Built Bar basically like funded BYU's entire walk-on program with full ride, so that's cool. They're going to treat him the same. That seems fair to me. I like that.
Humble brag.
So Mackenzie,
Jared.
Cam Williams was 13 for 28 in transition threes last year, 46%, which is nice.
Yeah. What was Jackson on that this year?
Give me a second. Yeah, I'd say we probably add another 4 at least. We're sort of getting to the point though where we need a lot of those guys to be starters. I mean, I think we still need a starting point guard, starting power forward at least, maybe more. I don't know. It just depends. I mean, like I said earlier, it depends a lot, I think, on who we're able to add, how the pieces fit together, and that's one place where I don't really have much doubt in Pope at all. He's done great. Jackson was 27 of 47 for 42% in that statistic.
So
Transition
very
threes.
similar. Okay. I mean more, but like, that's really that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's nice. So I too am very excited to see that part of him.
Where'd Jared go?
There's also like there's going to be names pop up, like even over the next 48 hours that people haven't even heard of, and that person is going to immediately become the most important person for Pope to land, right? Like, Kentucky fans are Kentucky fans. There's a reason we're the best, but also it comes with this like hyper online reactionary fan base that
they live and die by every little thing. I get it, bro.
Yeah,
They absolutely do.
which is fun, right? It's more fun that way. But also, it's like I do wonder how long it'll take to get the trust, because Pope is going to be deliberate about the team construction every single year, which means if some hot commodity hits the portal, it's not a offer him $3 million, right? It's how do we see this guy? I need to talk to him to see if he's even going to like vibe here, because obviously we had a very mature, a very bought in roster last year. And I think that had a lot to do with our success, where, like Kansas won the offseason.
Right.
And we were talking about that earlier. Louisville's doing something similar now, and Arkansas did it once under Muss really well, where they made an Elite Eight after a mediocre regular season, but then they had a couple seasons where like they won the offseason, they were trash. I mean, the team construction is what's really lost, on a lot of people in the portal. Just because you can't take the best, just the five, because every single player that goes in the portal, it's, immediately everyone's like, oh, they're a cat, they're Kentucky, perfect, and then we say, oh, they're a miss, and Pope keeps missing, but we don't even really know what Pope's, and Magoon was committed, like at one point, and by all accounts from everyone we've talked to, said yes, things changed overnight. Dent, similar things. Like, I mean, we get a 20 to 24-year-old, they might change their mind, who knows, and they do. It's not to say that you can't, find other guys like that. No, I watched the Mountain West a lot, but I don't think any of you guys would have known those two players. Not YouTube specifically, but people watching are like Kentucky fans. It's not really on your radar to Mountain West, players and or American Athletic Conference players, and they become the the apple of the eye when it's portal season. Everything looked great, but like there's a ton of players that are still going to enter the portal. There's Lando says, I need to commit. I can only goon so much to pass the time. Just goon a little longer, brother. You'll get a couple commits, 48
You'll
hours.
Get there.
So
yeah, I mean, either you'll get there or we'll get there. The commits are coming either way, but
they're going to come.
Finish.
I think it is in the players and agents' best interest for Kentucky fans to get riled up about every single prospect that comes across, because it's going to cause internet traction. It's going to give agents talking points. Or look, Kentucky's talking to us. That they have bags, and it could be just preliminary, whatever. So, but what ends up happening is our fan base falls for the marketing of the players' agents, right? And it's like, I mean, kudos, because they're doing a good job.
Okay, I'm not going to give any NIL agent any credit right now. And I mean, there's some legit ones, I'm sure, but like,
there's no regulation to this at all right now. It's just like dudes who knew a few college guys, maybe. I mean, there's a few that are like with legitimate agencies. Like,
yeah, there's a legitimate one, but there's also guys getting just taken to the cleaners with 40% like representation fees and stuff.
Yeah.
Basketball 1, 2, 3, 4 with the absolute banger of just chill, guys. Just chill. Good job. That's a good point. Basketball 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
I think you win.
What did you guys talk about before I hopped on? Because did you talk about the current roster?
Anal. Huh?
No, we didn't do a ton.
Because the biggest thing in the transfer portal era is keeping your dudes. And we seem
some of the best commits are keeping your players. Yeah, exactly.
So Otega, I think year 2 BG, he's got the tools. He's shown the flashes.
On both ends, for sure. Like, definitely shown the flashes on both ends, definitely.
Yeah. But I think, personality-wise, I think he is perfect. And it seems like the coaching staff is high on him next year, which is good. I mean, those guys are smarter than I am when it comes to evaluating basketball talent, obviously, or they wouldn't be coaching at Kentucky. So,
yeah, no, I get it. And it marks that it seems like we've had a few of the top dudes locked up and they keep getting away. There's people changing their minds. I mean, we're going to go after the top guys. It is Kentucky. I mean, hell, Utah State, I think we've contacted 100 and something players in the portal already, and we don't got 100 spots. But it's a wide net, and Kentucky's going to try to catch the top of the top. And so, I mean, yeah, Dent and Magoon are who you're really talking about, I think, there, and both were pretty close. And the fact that, I mean, both were. There's a lot of stuff that happened with both those guys that are unique to them individually. But A, people change their mind, and then B, there's plenty of guys that are gonna. There's guys that aren't even in the portal yet that are gonna get heavy looks from Kentucky. Though, Tristan Pope. I mean, he did it a lot quicker in a much more dire circumstance last year and made it to Sweet 16 despite all the injuries and everything. Give him a chance.
After beating two of the Final Four teams.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. Y'all saw it. We beat Duke. I was in person. It's the only Kentucky game I've ever been to, but I saw it with my own eyeballs. That one in particular.
I also think probably not with those top dudes specifically, but with a lot of these guys like Bull Bowen, who committed to Alabama today. We know the staff wanted him. We Zoomed with him. He came on a visit. We talked to him. I guess there's a photo on Twitter now of him getting a call saying that Pope getting a call that said Bull Bowen was committing to Alabama and looking upset. But what we don't know is what kind of role they wanted that guy in. So, I mean, obviously with Dent, with Magoon, you assume they're going to be starters, and yes, we really want them. But in this era, it's not just a matter of landing a guy or not. If you're recruiting them to come in and take a bench role that they don't want, or the money isn't there for the role that they want. I mean, it's possible we were feeling out, hey, Bull Bowen, you want to come in and be our eighth guy.
No, very
if
true.
someone else gives him a starting job, that's like, okay, well, that's a different
Mbako clears
decision
anyway.
than be here or there.
So
Mbako clears.
yeah, that is a big thing, and I think a lot of the coaches now, like Cronin specifically, are more desperate, right? So you have them willing to maybe fluff the NIL potential, the role that they're promised, and like all that stuff. But that's the same teams that lose every dude to the portal at the end of the season. And if you want to build something that is sustainable, especially in this chaotic era, where like we haven't even had OA buzz, right? Like that is like how sick do Purdue fans feel most of the week this week?
If Owe entered the portal, he'd be one of the top, if not the top guy, and maybe everyone would want that guy. So that's a good thing. Truly, Clyde does make a good point that a lot of people are probably use Kentucky on their contacted list to drive up their NIL value. I mean, it only makes sense. The biggest brand in the sport of college basketball, you would use that to drive up the price. So that is a good point by Truly Clyde there, because it's definitely happening. I don't think that's what was happening with Magoon or Dent. I really don't. I think they were both very realistic guys to add, although neither of them are like losses we can't, or not even losses. It's just dudes that entered the portal first and have since committed elsewhere. There's plenty of guys that come. When does the portal close again?
And we've got a couple weeks still, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a pretty long while, I think. I mean, it shouldn't be open yet, and it's stupid, but
it really shouldn't.
But like, what is nice though is the guys that we do hear buzz about. It kind of gives us an inclination of what Pope's vision for next year is, which is the same type of system, but with more emphasis on length, physicality, being able to disrupt offenses in the SEC, rather than like going after dudes who can shoot. Because we put on an offensive showcase this year, or our downfall, especially for the first half of the season, was definitely keeping up defensively. The natural
that was probably adjusting to the SEC with Pope and how he coached and did some things, because he did. I mean, we had the personnel to correct it clearly after. We can stop saying, "Oh, it's only." Ben, do you know how we did? Is there final stats on? Sorry to put you on the spot, but from like that Ole Miss second half to
Yeah,
the
one
end of the
second.
year. Like I figured you might be able to look at that because we were
And
tracking
actually,
like every week.
in that period, our offense kind of took a step back, which isn't super surprising given that we lost Jackson Robinson and we're still operating without her too. But let me see. Let's see what
Our
date
pay
was
stub
that?
is good.
Ole Miss game was February 4th. So
While he does that, I will say that I do like the players that we're going after now are the kind of players that could keep up from a physicality standpoint with the SEC, which is something that we definitely struggle with this past season. Also, I'll say that we've seen exactly one team that Mark Pope has put together at Kentucky, and he did so in 2 weeks. So I don't know if this team or future teams, you're necessarily going to have like, oh, this guy's going to slot into the Lamont Butler role. This guy's going to slot into the Andrew Carr role. We've seen one team. I think Pope's capable of constructing a team that doesn't have to be exactly like or close to the previous year's team. I think he can just adapt the style of play to his personnel.
Yeah, he did that within the season, right? We had probably 5 different teams really over
Yep.
the course of the year with Carr being down for like a pretty good while where he wasn't able to like go as hard as he would want to without Jackson, without Kerr. That was pretty quick. I mean, we had Trent Noah, Travis Perry, and Colin Chandler getting significant SEC minutes, which was not the plan at all.
By the way, Travis Perry hates like super unfounded. Everyone be nice. Like, come on,
Yeah.
now. My guy was thrust in a tough position. He did the best he could. Clearly, he wasn't ready for SEC starting point guard minutes. I don't think that's a fair thing to ask him. Just a sidebar there. Anyways.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, for sure.
So the last month of the regular season, from immediately after the Ole Miss game until after the Missouri game, we were top 10 in the country on Torvik with a number 15 offense and a number 17 defense. So we really did turn it up, and that's super encouraging because we weren't athletic, we weren't a super physical team. That wasn't our strong suit. That was all adaptation and Mark Pope showing the team with the blood running down his arm that he wasn't happy with how they were playing.
Not to totally shift, but did you guys truly Clyde pointed out that my Rhodes pointed out that A&M hired Bucky McMillan? That's an outstanding hire.
Love
Ooh,
Bucky.
that's a really good hire. And yeah, I think that does affect the portal because he's a gangster in the portal. He's very, very good.
But what's nice is that it won't be a terrorism game when we play Texas A&M now.
It'll be basketball. Well, you might miss Buzz, buddy, because I think this guy's going to be a huge improvement for A&M.
Well, I think but Buzz Williams coaches like he hates the sport of basketball.
Right, which makes me hate watching.
He also moves jobs like he hates the sport of basketball.
Yeah, that's true.
Huge for Bucky McMillan. 5 years ago, he was coaching at Mountain Brook High School in Birmingham. So what a ascendance he's had.
Just another great coach in the SEC, man. But
No, sincerely,
Bucky
that's
ball.
a really
Bucky
good
ball.
hire. Rylan Jones, Utah State guy, has played for him the last 2 seasons and has like had glowing things to say about him. And his players love him, so that's a tough loss for Samford. They were going to lose him eventually, but got robbed of that victory over
Should it be
Kansas in the tournament. There you go. Thank you very much. That was horse shit.
Clean
It was
block.
horrible. The cleanest block.
Ben Rapp has got a pretty good question here. The low Lamont comps.
I need to. I didn't watch a ton of Pitt. I need to watch some full games myself. I also want to watch maybe some games from not this year because I think that Pittsburgh really, really struggled and didn't have a ton of other options. And so that led to maybe some chucking from Jalen Lowe that isn't representative of his offensive skill set. His offense still, I mean, the individual numbers are not great, but his like analytical numbers are fine. And so
I think they're almost
I'll check at
elite.
some point. If you look back 2 years, his first year at Pittsburgh was actually pretty similar to Lamont's last year at San Diego State.
Yeah, but one of those two made the Final Four, and then Sweet 16.
Right, of course.
I got to stand for Lamont, man.
And he was better offensively than defensively. Lamont obviously better defensively.
Sure.
But people keep pointing to Jalen Lowe's 26% clip of hitting 3-pointers this year as a huge deficiency. And Lamont was shooting 31% at San Diego State, so and he shot 39% this year, so you can improve. But also, Lowe shot 35% his freshman year on still pretty good volume. Yeah, and he's like a 90% free throw shooter. So I think a lot of that regression was situational. You don't feel great about it.
There's some things there, yeah.
You prefer he hit them.
If there's a coach that can figure out how to fit somebody in on an offense,
right,
it'd be Mark Pope and Cody Feger. I like
this. No, I agree.
Like this question here from Mark: if we snag a starting point guard, is our backcourt done? It would be for Ben because he hates Pierre. But I'd like to see us grab 2 guys.
Actually, one I kind of like is that Tyrone Riley IV out of San Francisco. I think it'd be a little bit of a project.
He's a dog,
but also
there's 2 San Francisco guys, right?
Yeah, the other is Malik Thomas, who entered the portal today, but I think that there are some eligibility questions. He played just barely after the I think it was 5 minutes total over 3 games after the midpoint in the season, which meant he couldn't redshirt his freshman year. So I think he's out of eligibility, but applied for a waiver. I think he'd be a great point guard option too. I think Xavier Lee out of Princeton would be awesome.
Well, he's going to be an NBA player, I think, right?
So he's declaring for the draft, but I think he's expected to come back.
Yeah. Cool.
Lando says, "Give me Lee over Lowe." I'd take them both. I think you'd have. I really like Lee as an idea. The idea of Lee coming off the bench and leading the second unit sounds. It sounds like the polar opposite of Kirk Kriisa to me, but I feel like it still works.
I feel like
to me, in a more different direction.
PG2 is taken.
Yeah, no, I also feel like PG2 is taken. I feel like if you're going to do 2 of those, you kind of need one to start at the 2. Concerns about Ivy League jump, maybe. I don't know. I need to look at his individual game stats. He just entered the portal this morning, but people earlier were saying he's a small guard, and that's just not true. He's what is it?
Yeah, he's not small.
He's like 6'4", 6'5", 185. I mean, he's bigger than the other guards we were looking at. It's funny just to call him a little guy.
The NBA types like him.
Yeah, a lot.
Major buzz going into this season.
Yeah. Is he the one that did A&M last year?
I don't know.
Concerns about the jump from the Ivy League to the SEC? No, not at all. People can hoop. They can hoop. Lee will be fine in the SEC. It might take a second, but he'll be fine.
I saw people commenting online. Why would he want to leave Princeton for Kentucky? It's like, I don't know. He's a basketball player.
I mean, does he like the sport of basketball?
Also, I mean, he probably already has. He's getting his Princeton degree.
If not, then he can always go back. I'm sure.
Yeah.
He also has a 35% assist rate, which is unreal.
That's awesome.
I think he'd be awesome. I really would like that ad.
I was thinking taking both, and I always thought of like a Caden Lewis as more of like a combo guard guy, but I could see Lee as being more of like a hold him on the back burner and see if any bigger fish come, or just see if we can strike.
I don't know, man.
With Lowe.
I like his game a lot, dude. I would take him.
I feel like somebody's going to take him.
Really like his game.
Their starting guy.
Yeah, for sure. Me included. I'd love to have him start. That's a 99th percentile assist rate. That's awesome.
I watched him kill ODU and Harvard in a couple different clips. I mean, I know that's not, but he was a stand. Like, he looked really good. I'll be honest, I never even heard of the kid until today, like literally earlier today. Watching his stuff though, he's unbelievable. I like him a lot. And unlike other, Linsanity. Other, Ivy League guards, he can dribble with his left hand. That's really big.
He did
Yeah,
fly
he's
about
the
there
first
too.
Asian since when
Brother.
on the Cats. Juzang, right?
Juzang, yeah. Who I think someone said his mom was Vietnamese or something.
Wait, Johnny Juzang's mom? Oh,
Yeah.
Chinese. They gotta be Chinese, right?
Brother.
I don't know.
Right.
The name is.
Somebody said Vietnamese earlier.
I'll have to look it up because that's a very Chinese name.
Oh, for those not in the know, Kaleb does speak Chinese. So
Yeah.
Totally forgot. Good
yeah,
call.
we
Good
need
call.
to we
That
need to
is
provide context there for the people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could be sold on either of those guys as the starting point guard next year. And then if we can get one of those guys our starting guard and we can somehow pull out Yaxel, I have a tough time seeing us not starting like preseason top 10 if we're able to keep this
I
core
would say
together.
top 5 with the Axel, and I think even like Alvaro. How do we say that name? Alvaro.
I wish I knew.
Alvaro
Figueres.
Yeah. I think even with him, we're looking at like a top 10, to be honest.
I mean, they put us. What was the Kentucky preseason this year? Like top 25 still, with like literally no fanfare with that roster. And then, yeah, you'd be absolutely right to be a top 10 team.
Yeah. I think Robert Morris might have played Alabama better in March than anybody but Duke.
And honestly,
Yeah,
it
probably
was
so.
mostly Alabama just doing the world a favor and like entirely blowing their load, beating BYU, which like we all appreciate. I think that we've all said this out loud a few times, that it's like the best thing that happened all season, and just they didn't make a single three against Duke because they made 400 of those things against BYU, which was absolutely, I don't think I swear to God, I was dancing and I was roll tiding this whole place up. I was about to call my cousin. That's how excited I was. Okay. Because of that 3-point shooting.
Mark Sears was transcendent that game. It was ridiculous.
Brother, I was about to wear a mask to look like that guy. I was so excited. I was about to put the fishbowl filter on just to look like my man, Hashtag Sears. Like,
That's
thank
a good
God.
question, Raph.
I think okay. I don't think there's that big of a talent gap between Amari and BG. I think it was a more of a because playing a center / point guard in a Markov offense is very, very, very mentally taxing. And I think it's just like something you have to learn. Or
there's a difference between a 5th-year graduate senior that can 3-time defensive player of the year that could then focus the rest of his game on running that offense versus like a very athletic raw prospect in BG. It's just kind of hard to compare the two, really. The gap in their performance, I'd say, is smaller from Yaxel to Alvaro, but than it was Amari to BG. But I think talent-wise, Yaxel. I mean, that's more of how I'd look at it, because BG's ceiling is probably higher than Amari's if you really look at it, depending on how. I mean, athletically and just physically, he probably jumps a little higher, runs a little faster, is a little bigger, a little strong. I don't know. That's how I'd look at it, but. I don't think Yaxel is the end-all be-all. Again, I said it earlier. I think that he's great, but if he doesn't come here or he goes to the NBA,
I think that he might.
I don't know why I'm saying it. Do him all you
top
want to.
5 Naismith guy if he comes here.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, totally. But if he doesn't come here, it's not the end of the world, is my point. He still might, though.
Also, Yaxel's a really cool name. But if you use it at Auburn now, then he's trash,
Okay.
And another thing is, I think that those two have not that they look similar when you watch them necessarily, but their statistical profiles look closer than Amari and BG's. I mean, they both probably play the 4. Yaxel, I'd say probably play the 4 for us. Both assist at a really high rate. Both are great rebounders. They both shoot pretty well. Alvaro shoots more often. And like twice as often, and at a little bit higher rate. But they're both really, really talented.
Is he Johnny Broom? Is Yaxel Johnny Broom?
I'm sure that's how Auburn will pitch him. I wouldn't say that. Let me see if I can add Brew to this too.
So Clyde says, think the difference in defense between BYU and Duke was shown. No, I just think it was two evils, BYU being the greater of those two. I know Duke's pretty bad, but I think that was more, it was just like, they kind of got a little further than they should have, and basketball gods were like, all right, knock this shit off, hit 1,000 threes.
Yeah,
We'll see. We'll figure it out in the next round.
Well, so
Alabama, but
to be honest, though, what is the only way BYU wins that game? Is if they win a track meet. It's just
this is the okay.
Well,
if we're
that
game.
game,
Kevin Young got absolutely cooked by Nate Oates, and we can say this out loud. Nate Oates prayed that they would go under screens. He said it. He said on both knees. He said, "God, please let BYU go under these screens." And what did BYU do the entire game? Went under every screen, and they want to know why they got hit with 25 3-pointers. I don't know. Maybe don't go under every screen. Maybe after the first 15, you start not going under screens. 20. They still got 15 more points after they hit 23 pointers. Okay. Thank you, Kevin Young, for that.
I was watching
experience.
I was watching that game with friends at a bar, and it was like, oh my god, dude, it's just not going to stop. And it's, well, surely they'll have to miss one, at some point, and just know they didn't.
They didn't. It was so beautiful.
That was fun.
I wrote a very nice letter to Mark Sears and Nate Oates. I was very thankful.
Well, guys, any other transfer portal talk before we just devolve into talking about other things?
Well, I'll tell you what, Shirley Clyde's got a good point saying that Kevin Young thought that Bama wouldn't keep hitting shots, and turns out that if you just go under screens, they keep hitting threes. So anyways, but no, transfer portal, carry on. BYU's terrible.
One more, I guess, I do think there are probably more transfer portal guys playing this weekend than people expect.
Yeah.
Uzon
I
favorites.
don't know. I don't know how much eligibility they all have. I think Duke isn't going to have a ton of transfer guys. I don't think Auburn will. Auburn, everyone's going to graduate. Duke, everyone's either going to stay or go pro. Florida, I guess we'll see. Houston, I guess we'll see. I feel like Kelvin Sampson actually has a culture of keeping guys around too. So
he sure does, and that's why they're going to win the national title. You heard it here first. Okay, nobody believes in them. Houston's winning that natty.
No, it's not.
Yeah, they're going to.
Does Sampson retire if he wins it all this year?
I would.
For sure.
That'd be cool. Because then it's a lot of recruits that open up.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, truly. Clyde has Houston winning in his bracket. That means I'm not busting back into the Catechins top 10. I thought that would be my way in, as if Houston won, I'd find like some respite. That's the only thing I got right.
I have Florida over Houston on mine.
Yeah, dude, Florida's the weirdest for me. I don't believe in them at all. And I know everyone's, they played the best basketball. Like, I was like semi-unimpressed when we played them and beat them. And then when I watched them beat Tennessee by 30, and I still didn't think they were that great. Like, I know they're in the Final Four, for God's sakes. I'm just a hater. But it's the same thing when I watch Tennessee. I just don't think they're that great of a basketball team. I think that, I don't know. It pisses me off so much that Kentucky didn't stay healthy. Like, what if this ended up being? God damn.
So, if you are leading the Catechin bracket challenge, I looked at who number one was, and I couldn't tell who they were by their name. Maybe like reach out to one of us so we can figure out who's gonna win this thing, and that'll make things easier for us on the back.
Does anybody know the temperature at the Final Four this weekend?
No.
Has anybody been in the stadium and felt how hot it is? Because if it's toasty, I got Houston beating Duke.
Cooper's going to sweat.
He's going to sweat all over the place.
I think he's going to sweat anyway. But,
he's a sweaty boy. He might be the sweatiest person I've ever seen.
Oh, that's
should be room temperature inside. Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, Trill.
Very true.
Real helpful, pal. That's true regardless, because it's in that room. Okay. All right, boys.
Yeah, because I think there was enough hot air at Atlanta where it was like the second game, right? So it got nice and swampy, and
it got nice and heated when that guy tried to take your head off for cursing.
Yeah, that's true.
He was going to wear you out. No, he said that to Ben. Never mind.
No, he said it to me.
That was me.
He said it.
Because
he said it to me.
Saying bad word.
Ben said the F word really loud in the guy's ear, you guys, and the guy turned around and told Ben he was going to wear him out if he kept using language like that. So, well, he said it to Kaleb, but still, Kentucky fan, in fact.
I was confused.
I just put in the chat a comparison between Yaxel and Alvaro. I mean, the analytics prefer Yaxel, but you can see that their profiles are pretty similar. Their strengths are in the same place, aside from just about swapping mid-range and 3-pointers.
Do we get Mara if we get Alvaro though?
I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. From all accounts, it sounds like the staff has a ton of faith in BG, more than any of us have. I mean, even if we like him, I mean, I said
I'm a BG
I'd love to
believer.
have him back. I'd love to have him back, but I'd also kind of like it to not be in a starting role. But it sounds like the staff has a ton of faith in it, so I guess I'll ride with hope here.
A couple months
Trust.
ago, we did a bet wheel for the SEC final standings, in which the loser would have to show their feet online. Is the loser of this prepared?
I thought it was for photos. Do I just? What are we doing here? You want me to put my feet up on this camera right now?
Whatever you're comfortable with, bro.
I don't know
Do you have a picture?
No, not yet. I was gonna do a photo shoot tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
I got
Next episode.
this.
There we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 89 cents off Amazon. Royal blue.
All right, so we'll do that. I'm assuming for the next portal commitment, we'll do some pop in sort of quick hitter episodes, just going over the different commitments, just whichever ones of us are available to do that.
Yeah.
So we'll be popping
Lando. I agree. Moreno. I'm a Moreno stan.
Are you okay with both of them being the only two centers?
Yeah, I think I would become more comfortable if we got another at least like 6'10" long dude.
Yeah,
you gotta have you gotta have one more guy, I think. And
there's too many fouls for fives in the SEC.
For Clyde saying he doesn't think BG has the same role as Amari next year. I hope not, but I agree with that. But I don't think Pope changes the offense a little. The center running the zoom action at the top of the keys, let the Pope trademark. Ali Khalifa did it before him, before Amari. Amari did it. That's going to be the staple.
Well, that's one of the reasons I really like Alvaro. I think he can sort of do that. And unfortunately, I really liked Alvaro and Magoon paired together, because I felt like Magoon being able to shoot would let him create space, but Alvaro being an assist machine would really sort of let him run the offense in that Amari role. Then sort of on the defensive side, Magoon's shot blocking and rim protection would be huge. But yeah, I do think that the roles change a little bit, and maybe that's where we get really happy that BG has a shot. It's not the best thing you've ever seen, but he's serviceable, 30-something%.
No doubt.
He's serviceable enough to clear the lane, because that's the whole point, right?
Yeah, right.
Keep the center from clogging up the lane. Because
if you have Alvaro.
Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead, buddy. I was saying if you have Alvaro. You got it.
No, yeah, I was just if BG is like a 35% shooter, then you got to respect him, even if he's sitting in the corner, which at least clears him from the lane, so you can have 4 run it or whatever. But
it's almost essential for him. The fact that he did start to hit that this year was crucial to the fact that he'll probably stay on, is because to space like that is so necessary. And if he didn't have that, he's not developed well enough anywhere else, I feel like, to warrant any minutes. So I think it's a big deal that he hit at that clip this year. I think he'll improve. And, and I'll say this about Magoon. I know we all really wanted him, but having watched him in the Mountain West, he's Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, very good player. Passing and running an offense would be the biggest project of his development, I think, under Pope. I think that every guy that we're talking about that's going to fill that role, aside from him, might do that better off the rip, quicker. And now he's obviously elite rim protection, and he can shoot pretty well, but the mental side of quarterbacking that offense, I think that might have been a lot to ask of a sophomore coming off a knee injury.
Sure.
Yeah, I think also you probably get better defense out of him if you're not asking him to be quarterback as well.
Yeah,
That was one of the things I was going to say about Pierre earlier. One of the knocks, certainly not the only knock, but one of the knocks is that he's not a great defender. And maybe when you're not a 30% plus usage guy, you have some capacity to defend a little better too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the same goes for all these. I mean, with Lowe, with any of these guys whose teams relied on them heavily to carry their offense, that's exhausting.
Yeah, because think about Hunter Dickinson. He plays 38 minutes or whatever.
I don't want to think about Hunter Dickinson ever.
His
Yeah,
offensive role is to lightly jog to the post and just do this. Like Amari is having to do, math tests in his head and dribble.
Yeah. He has to, especially in the absence of a point guard, he had to bring the ball up. He had to make reads and decisions and figure out who was cutting and who wasn't. And when people got on him for the turnovers, it's like, yeah, it sucks. But also, if he thinks the guy's going to cut and he's a nasty passer, what do you want him to do? Double, hesitate? No.
BG had a few passes this year that made me think, oh, he can do it.
I think he's an underrated passer for sure.
Yeah,
he has the ability. He also sent a few right into the stands when he thought. If he throws one more backdoor pass, I swear to God, please, don't throw the backdoor cut, please. You don't backdoor bounce passes. BG out. I'm good with everything else. Please stop throwing that backdoor bounce pass, just so I get that off my chest.
But yeah, I agree. I like Alvaro. I think this is either way.
Alvaro.
I like, I like him at the 4 because then one thing we didn't really utilize this year is just where you have sort of like the pick and roll at the top, and this is what Alabama would kill us with: the pick and roll at the top, and you have a guard going downhill and your big man in the dunker spot. They ran that to death against us. And I really like having BG in that role, and it frees him up for that if you have the 4 running sort of that point forward spot.
I also think Moreno fits that a little bit better. Kind of beefy dunker. That sounds way dirtier than...
Oh, brother.
It also sounds like a Burger King promo item.
It sounds like something a Kansas State fan had to... Never mind. Move on.
If you're watching us now and have been for like an hour, take some time and watch the McDonald's All-American game. They have like a commercial-free whatever. Malachi looked great. And there's been a lot of question about with the level of talent in the Kentucky high school athletic schools, whether he was developing in the way we needed him to against these guys. And he looks great, even against some studs.
Against probably the most talent-rich class, top to bottom, for Burger Boys in like a long time.
It's great. He was maybe better in the scrimmage than he was in the game itself, but he was great in both. I don't think, especially in the game, I don't think that's a good format for him. A bunch of guys trying to get their own to show out on TV. I mean, so often he's sitting there calling for the ball and not getting it, which isn't ideal. But he cleaned up. He had good boards. He had good passes. He had some nice dunks.
He finishes very well. A lot of the I very rarely got pissed watching this team last year, but when I did, it was because they didn't finish.
Amari wouldn't dunk, is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, it wouldn't dunk, or even just I don't know. There's something about the strength at which you release a foot away from the goal, even.
Yeah.
Malachi did not have that same problem one time in any of the McDonald's stuff, which I'm sure he will. He's going to be a freshman. Sure. But I think naturally he has that that instinct
to
just operate at 10 foot, which is nice. It's a nice
no, for sure.
In the SEC.
The last thing I really have yeah, you do. And I think one thing we haven't really touched on too, I think the biggest addition to next year's team that we're not even talking about would be Colin Chandler. And now I know he was on the team this year, but like that kid confident, like look at the threes, the logo threes kid was taking at the end of the year versus like when we saw him in the little flashes in the, I don't know what is Kentucky called? The
Blue-white
blue and white game. Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
I didn't want to offend everybody by saying Kansas Wesleyan or
Or,
something again.
I think it
you
was
know?
actually the blue-white event this year.
Blue white event, perfect
Mhm.
banner camp, whatever we want to call it. He was outstanding, and he started to play like that towards the end of the year. The aggressiveness, the ball handling was there, the confidence. Because there was games we looked at he hadn't played basketball in 2 years. Because guess what? I hadn't played basketball in 2 years, and I was wrong. I thought he would bounce back quicker. Was really good though. I think he'll be a major contributor next year, and I'm really looking forward to it. Like seeing where he can go. Because I mean he's the best prospect out of the state of Utah. Like I don't even know how long, but he was really a big deal for BYU, and they got him. And thank God that kid's not at BYU, and I thank God for that every day. I really do.
So he ended up a 35% 3-point shooter on the season,
Wow.
unlike a quarter of Brea's volume. But I mean that's still 50 shots.
Probably a quarter of Bray's minutes too, right?
But you've got to remember how poorly he started the season.
Oh,
I mean,
it was
rough. I'm trying to see how many games it was. It was maybe the last 8 games. Somebody said he was shooting like 52% from 3.
Yeah.
1 of 1, 2 for 3, 2 of 4, 1 of 1, 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 6.
I saw
That's
when he hit
crazy.
halftime again in the SEC tournament right
Yes.
before it was the game they lost, but he was like, "You like that?" To Ortega as he hit it off the court. I was like, "Oh, that kid's back. Let's go."
Yeah, and he releases it like so high, which is nice because you have like SEC 3s and 4s that are have freakishly long arms, and he doesn't get bothered by it because he like elevates for that shot and still makes it. Boozer, did you guys see Boozer's shot? His like free throw shot?
I don't pay attention to Duke commits.
He
to be honest.
launches it like more than 45
Yeah.
degrees. It was
Yeah,
weird.
it's wild to watch. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be pretty good. I know we don't need to spend a ton of time talking about them, but I think every time I've seen specifically Cam, but really both of them play, I think Caden's actually pretty underrated too.
You ever seen Mikal Bridges' jump shot? There is no conceivable way physics should allow that shot to go in the hoop, but it does. Brother, sorry, you started talking about jump shots, and I'm gonna post this right now. That's crazy.
I think we got one more question here from Mark. If we get 2 more bigs, do you think BG might transfer? He seems like the type to sporadically leave. I do think if we got 2 more bigs, I do think that
to
writing
quote
on the wall
a
will be there.
really big insider, recruiting is fluid, and
Yeah, that's true.
I would be ready for him to transfer.
I think it depends on who and if we're counting a 4 as a big. I think
yes and yes.
I think we need at least 2 more bigs if we're counting 4s as bigs. I'd kind of like a 3rd, but that's I think when you get into the question of what role does BG think he should have this year. If he's not starting, I certainly think he'll leave because with Malachi here, his role will be even smaller than it was this year. But if we just had 2 4s and then maybe like a 4 that could also play the 5, I don't know.
Or if we got a 5 that was just like very dev, like a European, right, or something.
Could be.
That wasn't really like expected to start. Then I think he would still stay. But yeah, I think it depends on if it looks like if we end up going out and getting a Mara or something, that probably.
Yeah.
From everything I understand, it's a pretty communicative staff. They're pretty honest with the players about the situation and where everything's at. So I think that it would obviously things can change, but as of right now, it seems like they're not going to tell him one role and it be another. It's just not the way Pope really operates. So I think that if anything did, there wouldn't be a surprise on either end. It's kind of like I think that pretty good line of communication there because you don't build trust for your guys, and they all obviously trust and love Pope. You can see it in all the videos. So I think he's going to be here next year, and I don't think that they would over recruit him unless it really became a must take kind of guy.
I also do agree with Lando's post here where he says Caden could be the lowest ranked guard that comes in as a freshman and lights it up. before we start recording tonight, me and Braden were talking where I was saying nobody was talking about Jeremiah Fears before the season started, and now he's probably gonna be a top 10 pick. I would not be shocked if we found a Caden Lewis also.
Yeah, a Caden rankings. I don't know how. Like the rankings are like pro NBA whatever rankings for high school kids, but a Caden was getting harassed by the best coaches in the country.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like consistently.
I
UConn was
think
not
people,
happy that we swung in there.
I think people also forget how quickly he came on. I mean, I don't know where he was ranked before top 100 camp, but it wasn't high. I mean, he wasn't getting a ton of looks, and then a top 100 camp. His team was kind of stacked, but he played with Malachi, and they went undefeated, and that was sort of his breakout, and that's when his recruitment went big. That's when Pope was like, "We got to offer this guy." And
I also think
all
he
summer
projects to
long,
be
he
good college point guard, which is nice for us,
And-
right? Because we care about.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I really think all of our freshmen are going to be pretty good. Jasper was a lot of fun to watch at OTE this year, even though OTE is awful, just a garbage product to watch. I had fun watching Jasper, and think he'll be good for us.
Can't wait.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see y'all either next week or when the next commitment pops up. Thanks for hanging out. This was fun to do live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really
Coming up.
appreciate you guys coming out and asking questions. And
We'll have a commit. Like I'm a patient guy, but we gotta have a commitment before next week, right?
We'll have 2 by then, I bet. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, we'll do emergency pod.
And
Yeah.
you got to show the feet. Raps
We
right.
got to
You
show
gotta show
feet. Otherwise,
We'll print out a poster. How about that?
If you're still hanging out, please like the stream. That'd be very
that would
chill.
be nice. Yeah, we'd appreciate that.
And yeah. So for the Catechin, for Braden, Ben, Caleb, I'm Jared, and go Cats.
Go Cats.